What's going on, guys? Matt with Motorworks here, and in the video today we're going to install an intake. Intake we're going to install. I got the Corsa Performance intake, and it was one of the better rated, and it looked like a better built intake. I didn't want to go with an aluminum intake tube. Felt the aluminum would hold a lot of heat, so I went with the plastic intake. I'm actually interested to see if there is a temperature difference between this airbox and the factory airbox. So I will have a video coming out on the temperature difference between both of them. But in this video we're just going to install the intake, so once the weather clears up we'll get started. Alright, now what comes in the box is the airbox itself, the intake pipe that goes up to the throttle body. We also have the various hoses, clamps, and silicone couplers, as well as brackets. And for you California folks, or anybody that needs to, it does have an emissions sticker to put on the car. That's what comes in the box. The air filter is inside the airbox. I'll just have to take that apart and assemble it. But these are the parts that come with the kit. We'll go over the tools we need to install the kit on the car. Alright, the tools are basic hand tools, just like I said. It's a pretty simple install. Phillips head screwdriver, an 8mm socket with an extension, 10mm socket, 1/4 inch ratchet, 11mm wrench, a 15mm wrench, and a 16mm wrench, as well as a pocket knife or some type of utility knife. Those are all the tools you need. Let's remove the stock airbox. All right, so to remove the factory airbox, all we have to do is undo the clamp that secures the intake tube to the throttle body, and then remove the airbox itself, and this whole unit should slide forward and lift up. Now this clamp uses an 8mm socket. We'll just loosen that clamp. The only bolt that secures this airbox to the car is this 10mm bolt here. So remove that. Then we will also remove this hose. This hose was damaged anyway on my airbox, so I needed a new one anyway. So we will pull out, straight out on the intake. This has a little tab underneath it, so you just want to lift straight up on that as you're pulling that back. And then we'll lift up on the airbox. That also is kind of stuck in there. So we'll lift up on the airbox. And we don't want to pull it off just yet, because we have to take the intake air temperature sensor out. First unplug it, then we can remove the actual intake, and we can pull the sensor out. Just be careful when you do that you don't damage the sensor. Just pull straight out on that. Now the sensor, we're going to want to clean that up a little bit. It's dirty. I don't think it matters, but since we're here, hey, we might as well clean it up. Alright, so now that we have that cleaned up as good as we can get it, I just used a little bit of an alcohol wipe and clean that off. We'll put that intake air temperature sensor right into the new intake. Put a little spit on it, sometimes that helps. Alright, so made sure that's in there. We can set this off to the side for now, because we have to start assembling our airbox. First thing we want to do is just take these 4 Phillips head screws out. And now inside the airbox is actually the air filter, so fish that out of there. Got our nice air filter. Alright, now to actually install the intake, we need to assemble the airbox. I pulled this rubber grommet here from the fender down here, and I'm just going to put it through this hole in the airbox. Set that down in there. Now I'm just going to reach into the goodie bag and can set up my silicone hoses there. Put on your little silicone coupler. Make sure you get your clamps where you want them ahead of time. And that is snug, but it's not tight, so I can move that forward and back if I need to. Just take our airbox and assemble it before we actually put it in the car. So we'll install our air filter into the airbox housing. Alright, then we'll slide our clamp back onto the air filter. Slide our intake tube onto our air filter. Now install the bracket on the front of the airbox here. So the way this bracket goes on is you have the airbox, then this bracket with the larger part facing the airbox and the skinnier part toward the top side. That's where the top bolt is going to go back in. Then you put 2 washers and 1 lock washer on the bolt. Stick the bracket onto the airbox and just snug that up. Don't make it tight, just snug for now. Then we will take our assembly and we will install it in there. Now, this little cutout here is nice. It's going to fit around the actual mount on the car. We can slide that in at the same time we install this into the coupler. Just a little bit of a pain, but it'll work. Slide that in. We'll take this clamp here and we will loosen it so that can slide in there. We have to take this rubber grommet again and put it back into the fender well there through the airbox so that fits snugly. Alright, so once you have everything satisfactory and on there, just start tightening everything down. We're going to start from the throttle body and work our way out. Now, one thing I like to do with clamps, I like to try and go for the cleaner look. Try and get it, the clamp itself, as much out of the way as I can, so there's not this big ugly clamp when we're looking at the intake. Make sure they're snug again so they're not moving, but they are holding it tight. And while you're here, plug in your intake air temperature sensor. Alright, that's tight, looking nice. Put our stock hold down bolt, airbox bolt back in. Once that is secure, we can just come in then and tighten down the clamp to the airbox with that 11mm wrench. Alright, now the next thing you want to do is route your breather hose back to the stock vent line on the engine from the connector on the intake pipe there. And mine I found was about 1 inch too long, so I just took my pocket knife and cut off, or I'd say it wasn't any more than 1 inch of that silicone hose, and then that made that fit real nice without kinking. Put the airbox lid back on. Alright, so all I did was just remove that bracket there. Remove the nut, the bracket, and the stud as well. Literally, this is all just to hold that little piece of plastic on the end of the intake. Ta-da! There's your nice new Corsa intake installed. Looks good. Like I said, take the extra time to rotate those clamps around. It gives it a little bit of a cleaner look. I say, looking at my dirty engine bay, but hey. The airbox, that all looks good. That was a pretty simple install. Just take your time, be patient, and it'll go fairly easy for you as well. What I might end up doing is notching out this cover here. I don't know yet, but we'll see. Make that fit a little bit nicer. But that's how we install it. I'm actually going to go in and put the 93 cold air intake flash tune into the car and see how it runs. Alright guys, so just take your car for a ride, make sure no check engine lights come on for anything weird like that. As you saw, I flashed the 93 cold air intake tune with my Diablo tuner. I'm not going to say it's 100% necessary, I just happen to have the tuner, so I just did that because I had the tuner. That's how you install this intake. Now, I am going to schedule a dyno day now that I have the intake as well as the exhaust on the car, and I'm gonna go see if it made any improvement over just that 93 octane tune that I originally did to the car back when I got it. But that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Hey, if you liked the video, as always, give it a thumbs up. Again, modifications will continue to come as I get funding, but that's gonna do it for this video, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for checking this one out. Take a load. I think if I would have just replaced the air filter, I would have got more horsepower. This thing was disgusting. Ah, nice shiny new.